And yay, you got your story ready, you got the PSA ready. I don't have to talk about comics, but I just wanted to point out I got my bindo cards. That's my bindo cards.
Cool.
These are the sketch cards and stuff that I did here. Finally got them nicely in a binder, and as I do more, I'll probably be ready to go by C2E2.
Well, I've worked out my idea for the
Mhm,
Wonder Woman and the She-Hulk that you gave me the one to do the sketch covers on.
mhm.
Finally figured out how I wanted to do those. One of the arts and crafts is one of my favorite architectural and art styles.
Hmm.
And one of the figures of that was a Scottish guy whose wife and her sister were artists in their own right. And I'll send you pictures of what is inspiring what I'm going to do. But that's not what we're here to discuss today. What we're here to discuss today is Auntie Moo's PSA. First of all, dudes,
Okay, hold
dudes.
on, hold on. Here we go. Here we go. Da, 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 da. It's officially Auntie Moon's PSA for the week.
Okay, first of all, dudes, the women of your daddy's time are not the women today. Okay? I'm a trained soldier. Taking a life, guess what the military taught me how to do. Anyway, when you step there, I have to tell you, yes, a good deal of us are choosing the bear. Also, surprisingly to you, a good many of us can fucking fight the bear off. Huh. What I'm discussing is August 12th of this year, where near City Hall, Center City, Philadelphia. Now, bright and early in the morning, this fool, 22-year-old Zenmi Hughes, or what, yeah, I think that's what it's, no, Heales. He decided he was going to do something stupid. And so, as I discuss this dude, I'm going to use words that basically let you know how stupid he was, because we're talking like A plus dumbassery.
Wait, are we talking about almost Darwin Award level?
Oh, sweetie, he could win the Darwin Awards 10 years going. Dude gets up in the morning, and somewhere in his dumbass 22-year-old brain, he decides, and first of all, the runner-up for the Darwin that he'd be up for would be the news outlets, because the news outlet says he was wearing a Chucky-like mask. No, he wasn't. He was wearing one of those dead cursed baby masks and a long black wig and black clothing.
Okay.
Okay, he puts this on. He's running around out there. He has assaulted 16 people, the majority of them women. One woman he knocked down and she was injured. She required medical care. Okay. And then he got to the last woman. Enter into the fray 25-year-old super, superhero girl, Jamaica Wilson. Jamaica sees him because people can see the attacks going on, and other men aren't doing anything. But hey, that's not a good idea. Why none of them got up and smacked his ass down, I don't know. But women were jogging, trying to get to work or school and whatnot, and he's running at them. One woman, he went with his hand behind his back. Are you ready to die? Okay. I'm going to tell you, man, why this was a dumb thing to do. Because dude ran up on Jamaica. Now, Jamaica, along with being 25, she's an actress. She went to the University of the Arts. And guess what she had to learn? Stage battles, stage fighting. Now, a lot of people think, oh, well, that's where you slap at the air. Yeah.
That's real fighting.
Let me finish. You have to learn how to do not only do these moves correctly, but you have to learn to do it in such a way you don't cripple your co-stars. Okay? Whether you're doing Shakespeare and having to do sword play and stuff, you have to be good at this sort of thing. And you have to do it in a way where it looks lethal, but it's not. Okay? Especially if you're on a stage and you have to clank them swords and stuff together, or do them fists, because people are watching you live. Now, she saw the dude running up towards her. She dropped into a defensive crouch. Now, somebody with an actual working, two actual brain cells they can knock together would have seen her drop into that crouch and went, uh-oh, she just dropped in a defensive crouch. Maybe she knows more than I do. No, fool runs his ass right up on her. And she's looking at him. And she knows a fool when she sees him, because we're talking about a Black woman raised by Black women. Okay? So when asshole ran up on him, she jumped up, kicked him in the chest, knocked his ass down. I wish I could have been there to see it. The look of surprise behind that mask must have been legendary as he found himself on his back looking up at a Black woman like, yo, you need some more of this? Want me to give you some lessons? Now he gets up, he runs away. The cops are still looking for him. And she then decided, oh, baby, I'll talk about you. She trash talked him on live TV when they came to interview her. Okay? And guess where they have TVs at? Prisons. So when they catch this dude, everybody's going to know his name.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Because I had a friend who got up and said, well, she should have knocked him out. I was like, no, she did what she needed to do. Because you know what's going to happen? The minute they catch his ass, he's going to jail.
Yeah, he's going to jail. And the first thing that they're going to do, they're going to make him sag.
No.
They're going to make him sag.
No.
Yes, they're going to make him sag.
He's going to have a good time. Because you know why? They're going to find him a nice husband.
Yes, that's what I said. They're going to make him sag.
You killed my punchline. Don't make me come to your house.
You see, you made me miss my punchline when she kicked him in the chest. It's like, yeah, Nora, you would have been right there and pulled the smoke, and he's like, look at you. You got kicked dead in your chest. You got knocked the hell out. You would have been right up. You got knocked the hell out.
Where I'm going with this is they're going to find him a really fun husband who is going to remind him while he raw dogs him in the showers just why his ass is in jail. And that
why don't you just tell him what the husband's new name is going to be? His husband's new name is going to be Milk Bone. Why? Because he's about to milk that bone.
No, because he might enjoy that. I prefer the raw dogging because that's gonna hurt.
That's what I said. His husband's name is Milk Bone. If he like raw dogging, he loves to have his milk bone, his bone milked.
But yeah, so men, let this be a lesson to you, okay? These younger women, they're not playing. And they were raised by older women like myself who know how to fight. There are a lot of us female veterans out there. And you think we're not explaining to younger women? Because we had to go through boot camp no matter what branch of the service we were in. So we've all had to learn to go to boot camp. We had to go to boot camp. We had to learn to fight. I had my drill instructors, my DIs, they were MPs. And when you work around a bunch of men, I worked in a motor pool. You learn some things. If there are guys who look out for you, they teach you a few moves too. So most women coming out the military, we know a few things, okay? And you think we ain't teaching our sisters, our nieces, just younger women we care about? You're idiots. So just because women say they'd rather deal with the bear doesn't mean they won't kill you. Okay. In fact, a lot of women out there, when they say they rather deal with the bear, it's because they're trying not to kill your asses. Okay. So wake up, straighten up, fly right. Because this generation of women, they will take you out. Okay. You might think that's funny. This little idiot thought it was funny. Let me go and put on this stuff up and run around and scare people. And then he ran into the wrong angry black woman and she handed his ass to him. Okay? Think about that before you think of, oh, wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be funny? Okay? Because you never know when there's an angry woman who says, you know what? You should have run into a bear instead of me today. Unfortunately, you didn't. That's my
Is it okay to
PSA
add
for
on to
today.
that? Is it okay to add on to that?
Sure.
The moral of the story is you don't know what the other person has on their mind or been dealing with. You're gonna run into that one person that you think is like, oh, that means nothing. You know, they're nothing. They want to be like, they're gonna be scared. It's like you never know. They might had be at their wits end with the world. And you have to happen to be that one that put them over that edge where you catch that ass whooping. And it's not, and on their side, it's not intentional. You know, they just had enough. They like enough is enough, and you just get it.
It's like Popeye used to say, I had all I can stand and I can't stand no more. You never know what, and I don't care if you think she's a little old woman or she's a short woman, because this dude had height on her and she still
doesn't matter.
Him down. Okay. She saw him coming. She was able to sit there and strategize her moves by analyzing his. She stepped back, she got in her position, and this fool didn't see it. And now he's hiding. Okay? Because the cops, you think once the cops find him, they're going to just quietly take him to jail? No. He will not, from the minute they put him in them handcuffs to the minute they toss his ass in a cell. And they'll let every other man in that cell know why, too, in case they didn't see the news. Okay?
It's going to be.
He won't sleep. Okay, by the time they take him before a judge, he will be a nervous damn wreck because he will not have slept.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with the gag from Airplane 2.
Which gag? There are several gags in there in those airplanes.
You need to calm down, slap. It's like, hold on, calm down, pop, pop. You need to really calm down, pop, pop, pop. That gag.
Oh, he's going.
That as one after another kept coming, you see people getting worse and worse. Somebody breaking out nunchucks, somebody getting brass knuckles. It's going to be something like that. That's why I say it's like that gag.
It's going to be it reminds me of all I can think. The thing that makes me giggle the most is anybody who's ever read Rudyard Kipling's The Curious Elephant's Child. It's about a little elephant's child who wants to know if crocodile tears are real. And every time he goes to one of his cousins, they whoop his ass. And he gets his trunk. The reason that elephants have the trunk is because the crocodile, he finally gets to the crocodile who says, well, come over here and get closer and I'll show you these tears. And when he comes to the edge of the water, the crocodile, because at that point, elephants had only little stubby trunks. The crocodile clamped down on his trunk and started to pull him in. Now, he started yelling and screaming, so all his animal relatives came and they pulled him free. But by the time they pulled him free, he had that long trunk. And he whooped everybody's ass. They all then went to the crocodile to get their noses stretched because they realized if we got to defend ourselves because now this baby's whooping our ass. And and I kind of think, yeah, dude, you better get to work on developing a serious trunk because you got a lot of ass whooping coming. You think your ass got whooped that day? You have no idea. His name, and the only reason I know his name is because it's in the story. All of the news outlets that are carrying this story have this dude's name and his age.
Okay. Oh, so they know who this person is. So this is somebody that is known to do something like this.
Yes, because he does have. That's what I almost forgot. He actually was out on parole because he had been picked up for an earlier disturbance. So he was already in trouble. Okay, but some fools, some idiots, some dumbass motherfuckers just don't know when to say when. You figure, oh, I got away with it. Yeah, I attacked somebody, but they let me out on bail and whatnot. And you think you got away with it. And but hey, next time you better hope ain't no black women around, because sisters will jack you up. Okay.
It's more than just that.
Sisters will just jack you up. And now
I think about where it happened.
Yeah, Philadelphia.
They don't play. I have done a convention in there, and for the people that I met, they don't play. They don't play like that.
And that's what cracks me up. You went to the little park area near City Hall and started attacking people.
Wait. He was downtown?
He was downtown near that City Hall, and he did this crap. I don't know what he was on. That's like you ever remember the show ABC had on Fridays that was supposed to go up against Rock Concert? It was kind of a combination of what's kind of Saturday Night Live-ish, but it was ABC. They used to have
I was thinking Saturday night special, but that's not it.
No, it's the midnight special is what you were thinking on.
Yeah.
This for a short time was on ABC, and they used to do little comedy stuff in between music. And one of the comedy skits that has always stuck with me is Quaalude Man. And it was this dude who he had taken Quaaludes for so long, it was in his bloodstream, it was in his skin. And the way he was slow moving and whatnot, but if he touched you, the Quaaludes was so intense in his body, it would immediately get on you and then sink into your body.
What he secreting his body couldn't take, it would get onto you, and then
it would get onto you. And he knocks the guy out. He saves the girl, and they're standing in the window. Because I guess he thinks he's Superman. So she's like, "I'm sure this is a good thing." He's like, "Oh, relax, baby. I can fly." They go plummeting to their deaths. And this dude kind of had a Quaalude Man type feeling, because I figured he had to be a little high, because you went in the morning to City Hall and started attacking people in the park nearby. City Hall. Maybe in a small town, there's nothing but a couple of Boy Scouts going, "You shouldn't do that." You go to City Hall in Chicago, okay? Go to Daily Plaza and just look like you want to start something. There will be 50 cops sitting on top of you. It would be as if they just suddenly sprang out the ground. But go downtown like you want to start something near City Hall.
That would not be pretty.
It would not. You'd be lucky
if it was actually in the City Hall building. It would not be pretty, because you would have the Chicago police, Cook County Sheriff, and I forgot the other municipality that's there. Those police here. So it's three different types of police that will be on top of you
Mhm.
in an instant.
So you like I said, he had my thought is he was on something. He was on something
But
because
again, people who don't know Philadelphia, and like I said, I've been there one time and it was for a convention, but here it's like it's all over the news. Heroin is rampant there, and where
okay.
we was at, we was pretty much in the downtown area. And one of the things that they do early in the morning is that they have like the municipalities come around certain areas and they have to clean up from people who are OD'd on heroin and stuff like that because they would take, you know, public pisses and dumps and stuff like that all over the
So you
place.
got to clean everything up. Okay.
And it is like you just see the different people coming and getting clean, you know, clean sidewalks and everything to that magnitude because it's just that rampant there.
And
And
like,
it's quite the opposite, and that's what makes me kind of leery. You know, when you go to something like San Diego Comic-Con, you don't see any vagrants. You don't see anybody that's
oh,
homeless or this, that, and the other. Because why? They lock them up, they give them shelter and all this other stuff because they don't want the negative press.
they snatch them a week before it even starts. They done snatched everybody off the block. They don't let squirrels don't want to be in San Diego near Comic Con because they know they're getting in a cage. Okay. But
I mean,
what
the police has a big enough time dealing with the crowds. And I've seen people get arrested at San Diego. Now,
listen,
San Diego is not with one of those things that I haven't was not a one and done. I have gone several times to San Diego. I did Philadelphia once, and that was for the very first Keystone Comic Con that Reed Pop did. And that was some of the sites that I seen, you know, during the day. And, you know, people had to kind of, you know, make Rhonda and myself aware of certain things here. It's like one of those things is that because of that high drug population that's there in Philadelphia.
there are areas you need to be careful about going. You don't want to be looking too clean. You want to make
Well,
sure.
not just that. It's just more along the lines. It's like certain types of day, like you know, beginning of rush hour. This is what's going on. The city has to do X, Y, and Z for this, that, and the other. And it's like it was like we were like down the street from this one church area that does like a soup kitchen type deal, and people are there already around the corner waiting for the church to open up just to get a
So
free
that
meal.
they
And this, I was like, and this is like in their most tourist downtown area.
it's kind of like the where the old mission used to be over next door to Jones High School,
Mm-hmm.
and now that's gone. That
Well,
mission
no,
is
the
gone.
mission is still there. Pacific
No, no,
Gardens.
no. They took Jones takes has that whole block now. The mission has been
They
moved.
moved. No, they moved Pacific Gardens a few blocks, a couple more blocks away. Pacific Gardens is
But
still around.
yeah,
That
but I'm
old
saying it's
location is gone. That old location
the
is
old
gone, but Pacific
location is
Gardens is still
gone. They
around.
when they decided they were going to when they decided wealthy people wanted to send their kids to Jones because it was not that they were living there and they wanted to send their kids. It was like, no, you can't have the shelter staying there. You got to you can't close it down, but it can't stay.
Mm-hmm.
They took the attitude of you ain't got to die, but you can't stay here. You know. But what I'm thinking is this dude, he was high on something. And somehow he got the attitude, and I get it, he's 22. You know, obviously ain't enough people in his life smacked him in the head enough for him to get those two little brain cells connected. And so he decided it would be funny to go do what he did, because some people, some people, they do something they know is wrong and they kind of get away with it. They take a breath, they step back and they go, ooh, you know what? Maybe this is life telling me to rethink my game because this could have been worse than what it was. So maybe this is life saying, you know what? We're going to give you an opportunity. Step back, take a breath, and reconsider, rethink your game. Instead, this idiot thought, oh, I got away with it. I can do more, and he puts on a little costume and everything and decides that, oh, I've got a costume. Nobody can see my face. They can't identify me. It's like, it only takes one woman to knock your ass out, take your mask off, and then everybody knows you're
no, I gotta go this route here. It takes one woman to have concealed carry to unalive him.
True. He was lucky.
That's the thing that he doesn't think about. It takes one woman with concealed carry to unalive him.
Or worse yet, catch one. There are women detectives. There are plainclothes officers out there, and you don't know when it's woman. Okay. He's very lucky because a plainclothes female detective could have just popped him. Could have seen it and went, and what anybody else is gonna say, he knocked that lady down. She's injured. Now she had to go to the hospital to be treated. So he's committed he's already committed a serious assault. He's being charged with assault. He's being charged with creating a nuisance in public place, terrorizing women. They are not playing. And at least a couple of these charges will result in some jail time. But, and what's he going to say? Well, I ran up on a whole girl and she decked me. When the judge finally catches his breath from laughing.
I don't think the judge will laugh. The judge is going to be like, oh, she decked you.
How did she deck
more? He or she probably say you should have got more.
Should have got more. But I'm saying, because he didn't have to when he is on the stand. When she's on the stand. And they ask her, well, what did you see? And she tells him, he goes, well, I saw him coming. I shouted at another woman to get out the way, which is, I think, what got his attention, because she had seen someone and shouted, get out the way. And that's when he turned towards her. And she saw him coming at her. And that's when she dropped in that crouch. And whatever lawyer, whoever is working, whoever the prosecuting attorney is for the city is going to have fun with that, because they're going to ask her, you saw her drop into a crouch. She didn't have any weapons, but you saw her take a defensive position. Did logic not dictate?
He didn't care.
When you saw this woman step back and you see her, she's positioned, she is sizing you up. At what point did logic not jump into your brain and go, oh, wait, this is a Black woman. She looked like she ain't happy with me, and she looked like she about to lay me out. It's like, did you not know any Black people? What, did you never know a Black man who's never told you about his mama when he was a child? You would have known the minute a Black woman takes a position and says, I'm going to whoop your ass, she means it. You should have stopped at that moment, dropped and rolled like you were on fire, and turned yourself in on the mercy of the police, or at least run away. Now,
well, he ran. I mean, that's the whole thing.
After she whooped his ass, that's the whole thing. He ran up on her thinking, oh, well, I can scare her. And she was like, oh, really? You ain't a bear. You are not a bear. If you're the bear, I might be afraid, but you're not a bear and I have training. So come on me. What? We'll get up again? Oh, you running that way. Okay, bye. Like I said, young man, think. Okay? When we choose the bear, we're saving your lives. Because, like he said, you don't know how many women have concealed carry permits. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
bear is smart enough; he can smell metal. Okay, bears know what the smell of metal means. So the bear will go, "Oh shoot, I smell metal. Metal means pain and death. I'm gonna go this way." Okay, unless he's starving, the bear's not gonna mess with her. But she's ready for the bear, and if she's ready for the bear, she's ready for you. Think, young men. If you take a second to think, you might survive to get to my age. Okay? Otherwise, oh well. I hope your mama got enough to handle your funeral. Or you just get happy, or they find you a really kind boyfriend in jail who will at least use lubricant. Otherwise, nothing we can do for you. I'm sorry. I saw that this morning on Facebook, and it just tickled the hell out of me. And a friend of mine, in fact, a friend of ours, Kelly, when I posted it, she had read because all the news services said he was wearing a Chucky mask or a Chucky-like mask.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on my if you go to my Facebook,
I'm actually reading it off of your feed right now,
hello.
And I'm trying to think here. I'm trying to think because at least this article doesn't really say much about him, or at least the person who posted it doesn't say much about him.
No, Kelly went to other places though because she was a little concerned about. A lot of us were looking at the mask that they showed. It's like that is not Chucky.
Nowhere near Chucky, but again, that's something that the general public could kind of get a better idea.
It's a curse. It looks more like one of those cursed baby masks.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a baby doll face. It's cracked and splattered, and
cracked splatter has the stitches going across it.
If you go to Spirit Halloween, you will see at least 4 to 6 different versions of that mask. Okay, so it is not a Chucky mask. Chucky is pink. It looks like it looks like Chucky from the movies. This does not look like Chucky from the movies. And a couple of us, when I saw the original post, we were cracking up about that's a Chucky mask. Kelly went, and you see she posted, she went to check other sources and they all said she thought it was AI. And it's like, nope. Everybody keeps saying it's a Chucky mask or Chucky like. And I'm like, y'all don't get out to the movies much, do you? And why that is important, because if you're describing something, now people would be looking for somebody who's got a Chucky, who's, you're checking garbage cans and stuff for no Chucky mask. But the thing is, he didn't have a Chucky mask. So, if they don't give the police the correct description, it makes it harder. But the police, like I said, what I posted has the dude's age, his name. It's like, oh, baby, they have more information on you than a little bit. And I mean,
he's not, like I said, he probably is known for doing that. He's probably known for doing that too often. And the police are going to be like, don't let us find you.
Oh, I love when what is it they call it saying? Yeah, they gonna get you.
They're gonna find you. They're gonna find you.
And I wonder if because from the way I'm thinking when they described what she did, and I think there's a clip somewhere of her showing the kick she did, depending on how she connected and where in his body she connected, she might have cracked the rib.
Could have done worse.
She might have cracked. She
could have done worse.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. If she might have cracked the rib, which means he might have a fracture, if not a break.
If he had a break, he's definitely getting caught because how are you going to go to an emergency room and explain how you got a cracked rib?
You know.
These types of things get reported in.
Yeah.
And then police can match that stuff up.
But this happened on the 12th. And so that was what, 15 days ago. They haven't given us an update yet. I didn't see an update. So it'll be nice to find out. I'm gonna check later this next week and see if they have any updates on the story, because I want to know how this is turning out. I also want to make sure she's okay, just in case, because there's always that one idiot who will look at her and go, "Oh, well, you took homeboy out because he didn't know what he was doing." Because her response is, "Yeah, I guess he thought he could fight."
Yeah, but that was everybody. That's everybody's response. It's like, oh, you picking on people who you think cannot fight, so you get across to one that could, and this happens.
And that's what I'm saying, young man. You never know. Okay, like I said, I'm ex-military. I am from a generation of women who went in and served. So you see that little old lady pushing her groceries or laundry or something down the street, you don't know. She might be packing. She might be ex-military. She might know some moves that will make the hardest thug boy on your block go, dang. Okay? The last thing you want is to have some old lady handing your ass to you.
Yeah, you don't want to be a victim of grand food.
You don't want no grand food on your butt. And I was on my way to the store today. I was talking to a couple of women. We were waiting for a bus because this guy drove by and yelled some stupid stuff. And we were talking about it. We were angry. And this other guy heard us. And he was waiting for the same bus we went. He went and walked a few feet away because it was obvious. He realized being too close to us was not, we were choosing the bear. And he was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to leave you. If you choosing the bear, I might survive the day. There are men, you can tell the smart men because they'll go, okay, she's choosing the bear right now. and I'm gonna let her choose the bear.
But that's the thing. Maybe it's just the generation that I'm from. If they're choosing the bear, there's nothing to worry about. As long as you're on the up and up, there's nothing to worry about. They're choosing the bear. There's nothing for you to worry about. You don't have to go many yards away from them. It's like, no, just be calm and just move about your business.
Just be calm and go about your business. And he did. He just made sure he was a good 8 feet away.
But that's the thing. It's like there was no reason to be 8 feet away. There was no need for that. It would have been like, oh, they made you aware of the situation. Just be wherewithal. Have some wherewithal about it. Now, if you're on that type of nonsense thing, yeah, that's kind of smart in the cabeza, if you get my drift here.
Yeah, it's like, let me walk over here. I'm not going to be part of this conversation because these two women look like they will whoop my butt today if I decide to. Because it was like, yeah, bring that van back around. Let me whack on you for a bit. You think you funny because you in that van. Let me pull you out that van. And then we'll see.
Like snatch.
Yeah. What you say to me? It's like, hey, do you like to taste the concrete? Have you ever eaten concrete? Put your head on the street, and we're gonna see how you like to taste the concrete. Let's just get you a little taste of concrete. See how you like it. You can write it.
I'm going to treat you to a new drink. What drink is that? It's called Curd Stomp. What's in a Curd Stomp? This pow.
You look out for you stand there and look out for the cops. Obviously somebody's mama didn't smack him around enough. I got to teach him about discipline. I also saw a dude
Before we
today.
get too far off the case here, I did mention in the thumbnail about the X-Men casting here and how
Yes.
some fanboys are so disappointed. I'm like, let's wait and see, because actors chops to me trumps, and I hate using that, actual aesthetics.
The aesthetics, but here's the thing. I have come to notice it's like the Million Mom group that went off on ABC. And then after they shut down the Muppet Show, turned out that this Million Moms that they were talking about was like somewhere between 10 and 100,000, if that. They weren't as big a group. They made themselves seem like a bigger threat than they actually were. More people who loved that Muppet Show probably outnumbered that particular group, who probably hadn't watched the show. Probably hadn't watched the show, but had so and so was on there, and the Swedish chef was acting like he was gay. It's like, okay, fine. You know what?
Have you not seen the skits from the 1970s?
Obviously, these moms hadn't. But what I'm
And
saying,
I go back. I have to go back and be like, the younger generation, for much stuff that you have access to, and it comes back to the thing here. It's like, does this younger generation understand context at all? They have no consideration of context of where things are set in and what it meant during the time that it happened here. The Swedish chef was not something that I would put gender or sexuality in it, because it is a skit about a hapless, happy chef that just goes off the deep end in his cooking.
And it's a joke on PBS on the chefs and stuff. And and he doesn't, and the whole point was she didn't understand he was trying to say me, but he was saying Megan. And then she was like, and she finally went, okay, Megan, and you go, girl. And he was like, and went on his way because she wasn't getting, he was trying to say me, but the way, Swedish chef, so it doesn't come out right. But what I'm saying is, these group of fanboys, it's usually about 50 to about 200 tops. But because they're loud and they're on social media, they make themselves sound like they're a lot more than they are. But they get on social media. They're the ones, while the fans are trying to step back and say, okay, I want to see this before I make a decision. They think, oh, well, we'll become influencers, and we'll tell people what they should be watching and whatnot. And they're not half of them aren't even fans, haven't read any of the books or any of that. They just, it's like it's the same group of dudes, and they complain about everything. Oh my God, Ariel is black. It's like, do you know how many white dudes who played Othello? Shut up. You don't like it, don't go to the damn movie. But sit down, shut up, have a Coke and a smile. But
eventually, I probably have to have my day of truth here with people, and it's not going to be pretty.
And
I have a question that I don't ask, especially on from the desk.
Okay.
And if I ever ask that question, I'm being full, honest, and earnest, and will make you think before you answer, because you answer too quickly. That tells me where you really lie at.
Like I said, I think it's just this one little group of dudes. They find out some news because they yell loud enough, and they get people on their little podcasts, and they find out some news, and they bitch and moan and stuff because and they've never read the books. They don't know anything about the history of the character. They're just thinking of aesthetics, and maybe they don't like this particular actor or actress and have decided with no real context, haven't seen footage, but they're going to throw this hissy fit about something they have little to no knowledge of. But they're throwing a hissy fit for the sake of throwing a hissy fit because that's what gets them views. You know, that is what gets them views. They're throwing hissy fits over stuff that they literally know nothing about, but they know getting up and being angry and throwing fits about stuff is likely to get them more views than having them admit that they don't know a damn thing.
Exactly.
So
plus,
they
like you said, because of the fact that they don't know much of anything here, that was the first reason why I said what I said here. It's like, you know, don't judge a cast before they actually act, because half of these people that made this list, I have never seen them in anything related to a superhero movie before. So I'm like, okay, this person does not look like they could play a Storm, but you know, maybe they can. The role casting, I'm up here is like, I don't know what they're thinking aesthetically wise, but let's see if she got the chops to pull it off.
Nobody thought Michael Keaton could play a decent Batman. Oh, why?
Even worse, Ben Affleck. People, as much as people poo-poo Ben Affleck being Batman, he pulled it off.
I love Michael Keaton as Batman. I love me some Michelle Pfeiffer, sorry, as Catwoman. I actually enjoyed it. Well, you know, that's just you. But
I have my reason for why I didn't.
I enjoyed her Catwoman, and I liked the fact that they were giving her as an origin something different from the Catwomen that have come before. Because I go back to Julie Newmar and those ladies. And
so you was not used to comic book Catwoman, the origins of the original comic book Catwoman.
The Catwoman, my first introduction to Catwoman was Julie Newmar, and then Eartha Kitt, and then, you know, I could have been Miss America. Lee Merriweather. Yeah, her. Anyway.
Yeah.
The
so-called replacement for the movie because Julie Newmar was not available.
Yes. But those were my Catwomen. Those were the Catwomen that were my childhood Catwoman. And so it's like, okay, she's very different from the Catwomen I grew up with. But for the movie that they're doing and the role she's playing, yeah, she's not a big time action chickie. No. But she gave her Selena Kyle something that made her, she just wasn't a pretty chick in a suit. And there were some things in there that was pretty crazy. There were some things in there that was pretty crazy. The whole licking herself while Danny DeVito was looking on. It's like, oh, we are going into some really interesting territory here.
But that would make me like Danny DeVito as Penguin.
And that was his Penguin. And I don't know if people realize that Danny DeVito's Penguin became the nexus for the animated series Penguin. If you think about the different people who played Penguin, and I love Burgess Meredith's Penguin. That's the Penguin I grew up with. And yet I have, the thing is I loved the fact that Danny DeVito made Penguin his own. He just
he did.
And he did it without pissing on Burgess Meredith, which I totally appreciate, because sometimes you'll see an actor make something their own, but they do it in a way that spits in the face of those who came before them. And that was not, you could tell from the way he was doing this, that was not his intention. He wasn't going to go, oh, I'm going to be like Burgess Meredith. No, he's like, I'm going to make this my own, but I'm not going to crap on what's come before. If you want to sit and look at that penguin, that's fine. But that penguin and this penguin, those are two different birds.
I'm going to say this, and you might disagree with it.
Okay. Well,
But Dave DeVito's Penguin set up the groundwork for the Penguin that we got in Gotham and the Colin Farrell Penguin that we got in his own series.
Yeah.
Because Oswald Cobblepot as a character really was kind of like a flawed, tragic character. He tries to invoke sympathy and empathy, but he was a very vicious character underneath all of it. Especially if you watch the Colin Farrell Penguin series, when they did delve into his childhood.
And he was more like a gangster.
No, he liked the gangster life only because he saw how people respected them.
But
his family always got, pushed to the side and all this other stuff here. And he was like, I need to get, if it wasn't for how I walked and this, that, and the other, it was like, I need to find a way to get our family, better and out of here and stronger and this, that, and the other. And he was a big mama's boy on top of that.
Yes.
And the Colin Farrell Penguin series built upon that. So did Gotham. Gotham did it the best about how he felt about his mom. And then when he found out who his father really was, it initiated everything, because his father was like a low-level gangster to a certain degree. He was more of an aristocrat. He was like old school mafia.
But what I'm saying is, and I'm agreeing, because so much of what he did, and if you look at that character in the original Batman the animated series, you can say they're pulling from DeVito. All of those things that came after pull from DeVito. They weren't pulling from Burgess Meredith. They were pulling from DeVito.
Danny DeVito. But then again, that what made me think that in Batman Returns that Christopher Walken's character was the true villain, because of the simple fact of if he never exposed Danny DeVito's character to who he really was and his lineage, we would have never had the Penguin. He would have just been an outcast and left alone.
Yeah.
He would have been left alone. Danny DeVito's character would have just been left alone and an outcast. But no, Christopher Walken went and dug up his history.
At best, he
and found out about his father's side of the family.
Yeah.
And says, like, no, you're part of an aristocracy.
At best,
your name means something here, Oswald.
Yeah. I think at best he would have been, had he not found out about his heritage, at best he would have been somebody's low-level henchman. If that, a runner or a lookout at something, he would have been very, very low in regards to that power dynamic.
But no, he found out his heritage and brought him to the forefront and got him into politics. I was like, ooh, this is not going to be good. But then again, Penguin is a known fence. That's what he knows how to make those connections to put people against one another.
And DeVito does it in such a way, he not only owns the character, but he owns the screen. You can't stop looking at him. You want to know what's he going to do. I love the fact where he's like, yeah, I'm about to play this town like a heart from hell. Like, come on, Danny. let's go. I so enjoyed his performance. And like I said, it was interesting to note that every iteration of the Penguin after that, he became the root for.
And I like the mystery at the end too.
And I've always thought that was probably the better way to go. As much as I love Burgess Meredith's Penguin for that Batman, in the case of the later Batman, it would not made sense. It would not made sense at all. And so it was a good choice to do, just like Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. While she does take a little bit in regards to the intelligence of the character from Eartha Kitt and whatnot, she makes that her Catwoman. And so much of the Selena Kyles that come after kind of take little bits of her character. You don't see as much of Julie Newmar. In fact, because Julie Newmar, of the three of them, she was the tallest of those women who played Catwoman. Julie Newmar is like 6 foot something. So she was the tallest Catwoman that we had.
Remind me to bring you the very first volume 1 miniseries. It went 4 issues here.
Okay.
Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman was based upon that.
Okay.
And once you read that and her actual origin, you will see the correlation of what she brought to that film. And this is one of the reasons why I say it's like not so much what Michelle did, if what she didn't do. But Selena Kyle is more complex than what people make her out to be. The closest actress that played a good Catwoman, surprisingly enough, was in Gotham. She actually got it right.
You're talking the young girl.
Mm-hmm. She actually got it right. She actually got it right because she wasn't evil, but she wasn't good either.
She was, in many ways, she was a product of the situation in which she was growing up. It was less about I'm evil for the sake of being evil and difficult. It's I've been put in this situation where I don't have much of a choice if I want to survive out here. And I want to survive with some sort of peace.
And this is Selena before she made a killing with cat burglary and the thievery that she did.
Yeah,
once she has made her mark as far as being one of the ultimate cat burglars and garnered some wealth, her attitude changed because it was always about survival. And then once she started making have enough where she had more than enough to survive, her attitude still is there about doing what is needed to survive, but she kind of backs off on a lot of the stuff and became more about the thrill of it.
And I will say, what's her name who played
but Catwoman? You have to understand her background, what she came from, and that's the reason I want to give you that. Want you to read that 4-issue miniseries from volume 1.
Okay.
Once you understood what she was a part of and what she did to get other people out of it and how she became what she came, Michelle Pfeiffer's character makes a lot more sense to you.
Well, she made sense to me. It was like I said, for the time and the way they showed the backstory, especially the part of here is this woman in a male-dominated situation, trying to survive and deciding, you know what? If I can't make it through this way, I can make it through this way. And also at the same time, though, because she and Bruce are both fighting that sense of dichotomy. This is how the world sees me in this way. But I'm also this. There's those, they both had that sort of, I'm this, but I'm also that. And, that point where she turns and goes, are we going to try and love each other? No, that was what's her name for the first movie.
Vicky Vale. You're talking about Vicky Vale.
Yeah, Vicky Vale. But there is something similar where they do have to look at each other and try to make that decision of, are we going to, considering where we're standing in regards to this conflict, how do we find are we going to try to find a way through it? Or is this conflict just too big for us, for there to be an us in this?
Well, in the books, I'm kind of happy that it does come to a rather amicable ending in that aspect. But in that whole getting to that point here, I still like in the comic books the whole Joker story about Joker doing all of this nonsense and bullshit just to prove to Batman that he truly loves Selena by proving She's the only one that's never been to Arkham. Why is that? Mainly because she's not a homicidal maniac.
She's not psychotic.
She's not psychotic. At best, at best, she steals artifacts and things of value. So she would have gone to a regular prison and not Arkham. Maybe that's the reason why, Joker. Maybe there's something deeper than you think is going on up in that cabeza of yours.
Yeah,
And then that's why I like the ending of that story, because the ending of that story is like, instead of Batman dealing with him, Selena is like, no, let me take care of this. Selena took Joker back to Arkham and beat the shit out of him and left. And I was like, it's like, in her own way, it's like, now this time you can't say that Batman put you back in Arkham. I
Yeah, go run, tell that. Let everybody know woman whooped your ass and put you back behind bars. I'm gonna go have me some coffee. Bye.
I mean, it was hilarious because like when he finally opened up and said why he was doing what he was doing, you kind of go like, you know what? He's kind of right. Then you think about it, it's like, but he's wrong. Selena is not psychotic. She's not a danger to other people. There's no reason for her to go to
She's not. Yeah, she may be stealing stuff, but she's not trying to. She's
not trying to take over Gotham.
She's not trying to take over Gotham. She's not
trying to drug people. She's not a big menace to the whole world. What are you going to do? Sasha cuff on her because she stole the priceless artifact. Okay, fine. She goes, serves some jail time. She's right back out, and then she's back to stealing.
She's not trying to kill half the city because, just because she can.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in many ways that was one of the things I always liked about Batwoman. I mean, not Batwoman, Catwoman. Oh goodness, I need a nap.
Well, you know that back in the early Silver Age, the Batwoman that they had was Selena Kyle, when she decides that she wants to try to become good. So she took on the moniker of Batwoman. Yeah. She was technically the first Batwoman. Now, for those who are Batman fans, you can correct me later. But I'm quite accurate with that one.
I loved the Batgirl from the series, and for those who haven't watched
Craig Batwoman.
If you haven't watched the series, what they did with those, there is a reason that Julie Newmar and Eartha Kitt and Yvonne Craig were hired for the jobs that they were hired for, is because they also were trained dancers. And it takes me back to the thing about Homegirl being trained in stage combat, because if you ever pay attention to the fight scenes, Batgirl does a lot of kicks. She was a dancer. She had to learn how to do these kicks and things with the stunt guys. So A, she didn't get hurt, and B, she wasn't hurting them. Same thing with Eartha Kitt. Eartha Kitt was a trained dancer, so she could do the kick fighting, as they used to call Chickie from Girl from Uncle. All these women had to Diana Rigg, she did a lot more punching and stuff than just straight out kick fighting, but she had to learn those combat skills so that she could look good doing it and not get hurt.
That, like you said, that was the real reason why Yvonne Craig stayed on as Batgirl.
Because she was
they knew that she was a trained ballerina.
Yeah.
But everything that she did in those choreographed fight scenes, she made them look better. She told them how to make it look better because of the simple fact that she was a trained dancer, and she understood how certain kicks and stuff would look, especially since she's spinning. She doesn't just go in straight psychic. She's always spinning and
whirling
and flipping and twirling and all this other stuff. It's like, and they was like, they looked at her, it's like, yeah, we got some gold here. just like with, and surprisingly enough, with Bruce Lee with
Kato, Green Hornet,
with Green Hornet.
and
They did
Kato.
not realize what they had with him when it comes to the choreographed combat. He knew what he was doing. That's the reason why Kato was so popular. And that's one of the reasons why I like Green Hornet so much, because Kato was not a sidekick.
Yes.
Kato was a actual companion. He was not a Tonto. He was not Robin the Boy Wonder.
They were equal partners.
Reed treated him as an equal partner. Britt Reed treated him as an equal partner.
As opposed to just
Britt came to him asking, how would we handle this, as opposed to, come on, we're about to go and deal with this.
Let me explain to you how I'm going to handle this, and you just back me up in the fight, which is more Batman. If you think about Batman,
Britt Reed
Robin,
was like, look, this is what's going on with the DA and this, that, and the other. And Kay would come in, it's like, well, the best way to handle that is if we find out about this, that, and the other, then we could undercut the DA. We don't have to give up our identities, and we could still bring them into justice. That's a partner.
Yeah, as opposed to holy whatever Batman.
Like, holy computer outputs, Batman. How are we going to figure out this riddle from the Riddler? You see, old chum, we're going to just plug in these numbers here, and have you noticed that every last number is a prime number? And if we add two prime numbers together, we get this type of an output. Like, that's a sidekick.
That's a sidekick. And also, as much as I love the Batman theme song, you got to admit the Green Hornet had a badass theme song. That
it was a great souped up version of Fighter Bumblebee.
Yes, but it was jazzy and fun, but it wasn't the Disney version of the Bumblebee song.
Right.
If you and for those of you, if you haven't seen it, and I'm about to lose my Disney, but we're not going into that. If you go to Disney Plus and look up, just start looking through, and they've got all the old cartoons in Disney Plus. If you want to see Sword in the Stone, Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, they've got all those old both Fantasias, which I love, but they also have Melody Time. And Melody Time it's a collection of little musical shorts that they did around the 50s or so, ideas that you realize they might have done for Fantasia at some point, but they have the jazz version of Flight of Bumblebee, which is done on piano. No, that's in the second Fantasia. That's what that is. That's in the second Fantasia. But they do have some great little ones. The thing about Johnny Appleseed is a hoot. I remember that
anniversary for Johnny Appleseed.
I love that.
Nothing still beats Peter and the Wolf, because they explain every last instrument. You don't even have to have the words to the story anymore. Once you understood which instrument represent which character, you could make your own story by the way everything was played.
There are a couple of versions of that out. And at school, we had the original Russian animated version. And then, because the original animated version is, if I remember correctly, is the Russian version. It was done in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a Puppetoon version that was done in the 90s, and then another animated version that was done some years later. I much preferred the original Russian, just because I love the hunters, or the hunters in that one are a hoot. And I remember seeing it. We occasionally have assemblies,
mm-hmm.
and they would have, like, you would have all the first graders in the front, and then the older kids in the back, and they would show, they would show a collection of cartoons or something
mm-hmm.
like that. And whenever we had Peter and the Wolf, I was just so happy. It wasn't something we got a lot of,
Right.
but it
I
was
had
really
that. I
cool.
had that record.
Oh yes,
We had that record. That's the reason why I loved it so much, because when you listen to it, it's like it did just tell you the story right away. It told you about which instrument is for which character.
I love the
And
Hunters
even
and
if
I
you
love
didn't
the Duck.
have like the album cover, which actually had the story up in there,
Oh,
you can
okay.
still follow the story based upon the way that they played the music, because they say it's like, yeah, it's like, you know, Peter is always going to be like do 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 do, and then it's like every time he fires his gun, it sounds like
And they had oh,
and Sasha the Bird, it was this one melody, and his father, and the
Sasha
Hunters
the
was another
yeah.
one, and then the Wolf had his own sound. It was just like,
Oh, the Wolf was so it was the entire orchestra, and it was so sinister.
mhm.
I love the Wolf, and I love the bird was the piccolo, the duck
Right.
was
Sasha the
the
Bird was the
was the
piccolo,
piccolo, the duck was an oboe,
because in the
and I
narrated
forget.
version of the album, on the narrated version of the album, I just remember it's like you hear the piccolo, and then all of a sudden the piccolo got lighter and lighter and lighter. It's like, no, Sasha, wake up, Sasha, Sasha, wake up. It's like, you can't be dead. Don't die. Don't die. It's like, oh wow.
That got so popular that not the Cowsills, it's the group that did Never My Love, and I can never remember their names. They did um they took that lead song, the lead
hmm
thing, Peter's thing, and wrote words to it, and then it became, for a short time, it was a hit record
Oh wow.
back in the 60s. So, this is how back then we had stuff that actually translated into other things, and it was
hmm
fun, and you got exposed to all sorts of things that were other than just you know people. If you were lucky, you had a parent. You My generation, we had parents who would say, you finally have a chance to learn this out in the open. you know once I got through Dick and Jane, after that, once I started reading, I I was very lucky because we had a library, but we had a collection along with the Mother Goose. We had a beautiful collection of Mother Goose. We also had, my mother had, and we didn't have a lot of books, but Mother Goose, Grimm's Fairy Tales, and what is it? The Grimm's Fairy Tales, the
We
Mother Goose, and Kipling's Just So Stories.
see. I grew up with mostly Golden books, Dr. Seuss books, and I forgot what the other ones were.
My
And then
first,
after that, it's like, my sister, my brother, they were okay. What they had diagnosed me with reading comprehension deficiency,
oh,
and
okay.
eventually it wasn't a deficiency as far as not being able to understand what I read. It was more along the lines that I wasn't repeating back verbatim
Ah, okay.
what I read.
Yeah. I think
So they were up here like, well, he just got to read more. He got to read more. He got to read more. And it wasn't until I think it was somebody finally diagnosed it correctly. And it was one of the reasons why I had a big hang up with English.
that
Everybody wanted me to repeat things back exactly as they gave it to them. I was like, no, that's not how I saw it. That's not how I read it, or that's not how I remembered it. And you're not going to tell me what I did or did not read or see.
and that's, a lot of people don't realize the whole reason that they now can, correctly diagnose things like ADHD, various degrees of autism, not just to say ADHD, but
Mhm.
autism and stuff, and the degrees to which, that there's a spectrum is that our generation of kids, they weren't looking for that. You either could do the work or you couldn't. And if you were lucky, you might get a really good teacher who would help you with the workaround and take more time with you. I was lucky because I was the fast reader. By the time my problem was there would be kids who would be struggling with the page because when I was a kid in school, you would read, some kids read whole pages while other kids just read maybe one or two paragraphs. And our, the smarter teachers would make me go last because if I got my page out, by the time the kid after me had gotten their two paragraphs, I'm already 6 pages done.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on the next story. And the teacher comes, Elaine, what? Oh, wait, gotta go back because I'm already like 2 or 3 stories ahead. And I had a couple of teachers like, okay, I'm gonna let you read first because I know you will have finished the story before, these 5 kids get through their paragraphs. You were already 2 stories ahead.
And
I
I
was
was
the
kind
idiot
of
who
like the
couldn't stop
opposite.
reading.
I was kind of like the opposite because people in my school was like, how is this kid doing high school level math, but yet is struggling with the comprehension parts on the state aptitude test?
And see, I was the opposite because I suck at math. But give me Shakespeare, give me Chaucer. At 12 years old, I was tearing my way through Dumas, Shakespeare, Chaucer. I was just reading all the things I wasn't supposed to be reading until I got into high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I had teachers going, because I would sit there and we'd go into English and they'd say, okay, here's the assignment. And I'd sit and they said, you have to sit down and, highlight this and boom, 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 boom. Okay, thank you. Bye. And they're like, this is an hour-long class and you did the assignment in 15 minutes. And the first time a teacher ever saw me do that, they were like, you didn't do that right. I know you didn't do that right. And I was like, well, read it. And they went and sat down and read it and kind of gave me this look like if she was my mother, she'd slap me.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you? So teachers were like, okay, fine. You did that. Here's a book. Because I couldn't be because if left to my own, I would just sit there and doodle. I
Well,
draw
that's what they
things
ended
and
up doing. That's what
doodle.
they ended up doing with me in math. It's like, while everybody else was still stuck on like fractions, it's like, okay, we're about to teach you how to do 2-digit multiplication.
And
And
I
I
would
just
sit there.
started doing that while everybody else is still trying to catch up. Oh, now we're going to do like long division. And
See,
I was doing that while everybody else was still trying to catch up. And that has been that way all the way up to like my 7th grade year.
what
Because it's like I
surprises
was always testing way beyond and off the charts and everything. And they were trying to get me to go get into some other type of school because that aptitude that I had for the math was like way off the scale. But when they started to see that I was not doing well on the state certification test for the reading comprehension, they was like, well, what's really going on? And
and
it turned out that I wasn't. It was like, oh, he got to have a reading deficiency. It's like, no, it's not a reading deficiency. It's just that I was not telling them or answering things the way that they expect me to answer them.
and I would I would be sitting here having these long, deep discussions with teachers about this or that writing, but then put me with a math, and I'd be like the anime where the eyes would turn into pinwheel.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that was me, which is why I was really surprised that both my sons can calculate pi. My youngest son is autistic, and yet once they started putting him in with the regular kids, they started mainstreaming him. He took all the math classes. The only math class that he did not pass was trigonometry, because he just felt that it had no value to him. And I was like, he got the teacher's like, he argues with me. I'm like, what do you mean he argues with you? He barely speaks. Like, he does not like trigonometry. He does not feel it is a worthwhile pursuit of his time. And I'm like, why?
I can see that. I can see it.
And it's like, but and the thing is I had to argue with his counselor, because the counselor because it's like, but he did so well in math and basic math, and then he did algebra, and then he did calculus. He was doing, and it's like, yeah, that's okay. He fulfilled his math requirement. He made the honor roll because he fulfilled his math requirement. You don't push him in the trig just because you think it would be cool to see if he could do it. It's like, next time you want to play with somebody's child, make sure they don't have a mama who will not hold back from smacking the crap out of you.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this, and this may help your argument the next time something like that comes up. People don't realize how close trigonometry is like writing composition. There's multiple ways to get to the exact same answer, and there's no actual form or logic to get to that answer.
And
that's what made trigonometry that much harder.
And it was like he felt the logic of it just did not suit him, because it didn't, for him, things have to go by a logical progression. And he felt trig wasn't it just, the progression of it wasn't something that he could latch on to easily, because there was more than one way to come about an answer.
That's the problem with trigonometry. And the thing here is, one of the major changes that they made is that they always teach trigonometry now along with geometry, because they go hand in hand.
Okay.
If he had geometry and geometry is just the sole thing that they teach that whole year, and then all of a sudden now they're going to introduce trigonometry to him,
and he didn't get trigonometry,
it's going to be like, no, what BS is this?
And he didn't get trigonometry until he did the basic math, and we're like, well, dang, he can do that. It's like, yeah. It goes, and they said, can we let him try algebra? It's like, and I asked, did you want to try algebra? And it's like, okay, he'll get his 2-year math requirement, so yay.
Mm-hmm.
And he did exceptionally. He was the honor roll. And then when he got trig, because he failed, he got like a C- in trig. He didn't fail it, but he didn't.
Yeah, he pretty much did what I did when I got to IIT, and they put me back in basic algebra. I didn't show up for any of the courses, everything, took the test and everything, passed the test and everything. But the teacher wanted to give me a C because I wasn't turning in homework or being a part of the class. I was like, and I would tell the professor, it's like, do you realize how many times I took this class in the past, in high school, prep school, during my military studies and all this other stuff? I don't need this. This is a requirement for me to just get past this.
But the thing, I guess what upset me, because he had been making the honor roll.
Mm-hmm.
And then here was a class, he passed it, but not to the degree where he was, because of this class, they took him off the honor roll.
Well, yeah, and that's the sad thing, because they're not looking at his, if I could say, potential.
It was the counselor at that time, and I bumped heads quite a bit, because she just, it was like, sometimes you can't fit a square peg in a round hole. It's
the same argument that the counselor used to get me out of drafting. I'm going to get you out of drafting. I'm going to put you in regular art instead.
And the
And I
thing is,
was like, I want to finish drafting. It's not that I couldn't do the work. The instructor was very hard on me because he knew I could do better. It's like, you're too heavy handed. You
I
have to
hated
learn
those
how to do it
teachers,
this way.
but I guess what
And that's the
upset
thing, is the
me,
difference between capability as opposed to other people's expectations of you.
yeah. And I was really, and it was one of those things where that final year she and I were at outs because it's like he fulfilled his math requirement for graduation when he passed algebra. And then he got up and y'all said, "Oh, we think he can do calculus." And he also was passing Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He was also passing Arabic. And so it's like, because he had wanted to do Mandarin Chinese, but that class filled up real fast.
Mm-hmm.
So he took Arabic. And he did exceptionally well. He had trouble with the speaking, but the teacher got it. And so he would write things out.
Mm-hmm.
And so she adjusted it for him. And he did exceptionally well. And it's like you screwed up his average because instead of listening to him, instead of listening to me, you just stuck him in a class,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Thinking she knew right.
thinking you know more. It's like, you know what? Did you birth that brain? I birthed that brain. Don't get up in my face and try to tell me what this brain can do. I birthed it. Okay. Do not push my child. And I get it. Yes, you want to push a student to when you know they have the potential, but when you don't know, and he's already proven he's got his requirement. It wasn't like he had to take trig because he couldn't graduate.
Right.
So, and that to me, it was like he could have taken another class,
That
and
was
he,
the way that they taught him. It's like, I have never heard anybody taking trigonometry without having it paired with geometry. They go hand in hand. So it sounds like he had aptitude for geometry. It didn't seem like he hated geometry. If we
he
had
loved
geometry and trig at the same time, it
he
makes
would
logical sense to
he would
people.
have done exceptionally well. But like I said, he did geometry and then he decided he was going to do calculus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, if you want to do calculus, because he and Charles had talked about calculus and he had listening to Charles decided he wanted to try calculus. It's like, okay, you got three maths. You're fine. Especially since he was also taking music.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of for beginning music, he was one of the few students because usually the beginners and the autistic kids play with one finger. He was playing with both hands. By the time he graduated, he was playing things. Usually they play one, they pick out something he plays in one hand. He was playing with both hands. And I was very proud of that. It's like, yes, he got a little of my musical. Yay. But like I said, I was it. That was a hard year. That was a
I
hard.
understand why it would have been why it was a hard year. That's kind of like what happened when they forced me into taking regular art instead of drafting, and I was happy with my C. I understood why I was getting my C. My counselor was not happy that I was getting a C, and
I
the reason my counselor was not happy is what I said and what the instructor said. I was doing my work. I was
I
doing exceptionally well on all of the technical aspects of it. However, I'm heavy-handed. It was not as clean as what architects would need.
yeah.
And
It's
that was something that you have to learn over time. My counselor felt you don't have time to deal with this, especially by the first quarter. It's like that first quarter grade you got to see here. My instructor vouched that I knew what I was doing. But he also said, I ain't going to call him. He's
And
going
back
to learn how to do it right. He's going to do it right.
and back then you couldn't do architectural rendering on computer the way you can now.
Well, that was the tail end of the class. The tail end, you have to work your way up to the CAD
Architecture.
drafting.
Because that's
And
about the
he knew I had the capability to do the CAD drafting. I have to get past the basics first.
okay. If they'd had something like Sketchbook Pro, I think you would have probably done really well because you you could have because of the way you set the digital your drawing mediums, you
Mhm.
could have set your pen you could have set your pen so thin enough. You could have made it such a fine line that you could have been heavy handed and still turned out the lines that you needed.
Exactly.
But I feel bad. I'm so sorry
But
that you had to go through that.
that was the thing here because they learned that I had a love for actual drawing as a result here.
I had
Unlike other people who they're up there was like, well, they're going to have a backup skill and something to that magnitude. It's like I didn't take wood shop, I didn't take anything mechanical, this, that, and the other. But they saw I had a gift for drawing.
I
And
took wood
then
shop. You didn't take wood shop. I took wood shop. We're very opposite. I didn't take architectural
I didn't take
drafting,
wood
but I
shop, but
took
you'd be
wood
surprised at
shop.
how many designs and stuff that I did for other people that went into wood shop and did the actual carving into the wood after I drew something on it, and they
Oh,
got
okay.
grade for it.
No, I took 2 years of wood shop. I took one in middle school, and then because when I went over to Amundsen, we didn't have ROTC.
Mhm.
And and they were like, well, do you know wood shop? And it's like, I can do wood shop. I took wood shop. And so I loved wood shop. Wood shop was fun. I also took what was then, because you couldn't take a fine art class until your junior year. And so, but by the time we got to that, I was also taking music,
Mhm.
and I really wanted to you had studio art, and then I was also basic band or music. And Dr. Stoller said, you've got some talent. If you'd like, we got room in the saxophones. And the saxophone had been a family interested in
Mhm.
music. It was an instrument my paternal grandfather played. And then the eldest of my three uncles on my mom's side followed him. And then it was like, what's kind of a family instrument? My aunt Julia played, um, she tried flute for about halfway through. My grandmother actually bought her a flute. Um, and then about halfway through the year decided she didn't want to do music no more. you know, but my other two uncles we the three of us all decided to take up the saxophone. And it's funny because they were at Clemente and I was at Amundsen.
Mhm.
So we weren't in the same high school, but it was like, I was like, yeah, I'm taking the saxophone. They're like, we're taking saxophone too. It's like,
So
oh,
now you get to see which school teaches it better. And
well,
that was
they were Clemente.
a lot of the electives that they had, the majority of them really didn't interest me because music really didn't interest me. And then I had a problem with one of the teachers because of the simple fact that I was not in her class as much because I was off doing all of these other competitions for the school, such
Oh,
as
okay.
like science fair, academic decathlon, and all this other stuff. So she marked down my grade. Counselor had to step in to do that. Between my mother and the counselor, they had to step in and they're like, nope, can't have that to happen.
I wasn't a It's funny because I was never a scientific big brain, but when when I was still at DeSable, no, when I was at Austin,
Mm-hmm.
I got to I was not only doing woodshop, but I had an interest in chess.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have any girls in the chess team because back then you didn't have a lot of girls on playing chess. Even now today, you don't have the number of women who play chess, especially at the competitive level, is very small compared to the number of men playing. Um, and the guy who was the woodshop instructor also coached the chess team, but I could play chess. He's like, you have enough of a logical mind. You could play chess. But and he tried to find, and school was like, no, she's a girl. She shouldn't be playing chess. She's a girl.
That's that. I would have been like, nope, ain't gonna happen.
Well, also,
Ain't gonna happen. It's like if I was the administrator, ain't go. It's like ain't go. You know, if she want to play chess, let her play chess.
no, because at the same time, I was also, he kind of made me a supervisor for our class. I wasn't the best woodworker, but I knew how to use the machinery.
Mm-hmm.
And this was at a time when girls didn't have to do home ec. You could choose to do, if you didn't want to do home ec, you could do like woodshop. So I chose woodshop because I didn't want to do home ec, because I'd done home ec in 8th grade and in my freshman year, and I hated it. And I didn't pass home ec. So I had to
You're not a
pass.
home ec person, especially if it was
But I
home ec
can cook.
especially if it's like home ec that I had in 9th grade. You would have had a hard
We
time.
were still in high school. We were doing recipes from the 40s and the 50s. So we were doing things like Welsh rarebit, which is kind of like cheese toast, except instead of you putting the cheese on the bread and putting the bread in the oven, you make a sauce with the cheese, and which you then pour over the bread. And I could never get the sauce to the teachers, and I couldn't sew. I can do a little hand sewing.
That's the part that I was thinking about, because I was like, my home ec experience really wasn't about cooking. It was about
No,
sewing and mending and creating all these different other items.
Back in the 70s, and we're talking the early 70s, home ec, and back in the 60s and 70s, home ec was split into two main sections. You had dressmaking or tailoring. And then the second section, because it's called home economics, you had cooking. And what drove me crazy was I was cooking. I was making dinner at 11. My mother would get the groceries and stuff and say, I want you to make this, this, and this tonight. So it was like, okay, I got to get up. I got to learn how to make pork chops. I got to make, she wants pork chops, rice, gravy, and biscuits. Okay. Got to get up and get that, she wants it done by no later than 20 minutes after she gets home. So it's like, okay, that means get up, put the pork chops out before I go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I wait till I get home, they won't thaw properly. So I got to pull the pork chops out. So I knew how to work out dinners. I was baking the best. My sister and all her friends and my mom said I baked the best chocolate chip cookies. And I would bake up cookies on a Saturday afternoon. And my sister and her friends would be outside the door. We had our kitchen, we had this window where they would be looking in the window. It's like, your sister's baking. And they would stand by the window, and my mother would walk in and out through the kitchen while I was baking, because she and my sister and her friends would kind of have a battle. to see who could get the first cookies.
So everybody's like cracking their knuckles. It's like battle royale is about to happen. As soon as you about to go, it'll be like, okay, I think they're boom, 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 pop, 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 poop.
My mother going off against a bunch of 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
Oh, for cookies. I would have to, it got to where I couldn't bake a simple dozen cookies. I had to learn to adjust my recipe. And this was when they introduced the Toll House chocolate chips.
Yes.
And they had the recipe for Toll House cookies on the chocolate chip bag. But I had to learn to adjust the recipe so I could make 2 or 3 dozen cookies, because I had to make enough so my sister and her friends got cookies. I had to make enough so my mother had cookies, and then would take cookies with her to work. And then if I wanted,
they made you a workhorse.
Yeah, I by the time I was 12, I was doing 85% of the cooking in our house. My mother would go to the store and get the heavy shopping done, but I was the one who had to, she had a bunch of cookbooks, and I was learning how to cook from either going through the cookbooks or asking the Southern ladies I grew up under and my grandmothers, or I would watch the Galloping Gourmet. Watch him do things and try to adjust that to the cooking I was doing. So I knew how to cook, but the cooking I was doing at home, making chicken, pork chops, stuff like that,
I guess
was not the cooking that we were doing in home ec. We were doing all these weird ass 1950s Susie homemaker type recipes that had nothing to do, excuse me, with the life we were living. And it was driving me crazy. And my mother used to sew like a professional. My mother would sew something and you wouldn't know it was hand sewn. You'd have thought, oh, what? And she'd sewn things, and people go, what store did you get that from? And it's like, oh, my mother made this. So she could sew. She could sew her ass off. I could not.
And that was kind of like my experience with home ec, because home ec, the cooking side was pretty much, can you make a budget? Can you make a homemade pizza? Can you make homemade cookies? And that was it.
See, but that's not what we were
doing. The other
doing.
side was a nightmare, because you had to make all these different items of clothes. You had to make clothing for like teddy bears and stuff. It's like it went from making clothes for actual people, arts and crafts stuff for like dolls and stuff, crafts for the home life. I mean, it was like they made it so where it wasn't gender specific. They made it gender neutral for us males to feel like, oh, we're not just doing something out of that most women would do. It's like we had to do a little bit of everything on the other side.
I knew how to go and buy a pattern. I knew how to thread a bobbin. I knew what a bobbin was because like I said, my mother sewed. Mm-hmm. And there used to be on Madison, just west of Pulaski. Can't remember which side of the street it was on. I think it was on the north side of the street, mm-hmm. near Rexall. Singer had its own store.
Yes, I remember that.
And next door to the Singer sewing machine store, in fact, I think for a while they shared a space, was Vogue Patterns. Singer had their part of the store where you could go if you needed threads, if you needed machine parts and whatnot, because a lot of women learned how to fix their machines. Because once you got a machine, you knew, they would have the latest machines out, but they were not cheap, even by 1960 something mm-hmm. standards. So when you got a machine, you learned how to change, just like the record players. You learned how to change the needles on the record players and stuff. So when the needle wore out, you knew how to put a new one in. Same thing with sewing machines. You learned how to put your needles in there. You know how to switch out needles depending and foot, depending on what you were doing, because the foot you did for basic stitches, yeah, I know a little. It's not the same foot that you use if you're doing buttons.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different pressure foot. It's a different needle and stuff if you're doing buttonholes or buttons. So yeah, see, it's not like I don't know anything. I just can't sew right. Okay.
And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine and dandy. Just like everything that we
Not
did
if
was
you're
hand
trying
stitched.
to
So
pass the
I could hem my
class.
I could hem my own pants, but it would not be the greatest. But I could do it. That's what we learned.
I
That's the
can
type of
do.
stuff that we learned. It's
Oh
like
no,
we
see,
learned stuff for survival.
no, we had to learn to make outfits,
We did too.
and that's where I said, now I
We
can
didn't have
do
sewing machines. We had to everything that we made. We had to hand stitch.
you, and and you learn the difference between I can baste in a hem, I can do a quick fixing of a seam. I have enough skills where I can fix it. I have clothes
I mean,
that are.
I could tack a cuff real quick, fast, in a hurry. But then again, I wouldn't be the one to say how long it would last. It may last a couple of days before it pops, but at least I could put one together and nobody could tell.
I have learned how to fix hems and seams and stuff, so that because I don't get to shop that often.
Mhm.
So if I buy something, it's like, oh shoots, oh she'll just, I'm sorry, Sally, you know that I do the show. I keep telling
Who's
you,
that?
friend of mine is trying to call me. A friend of ours died last week. We
Well,
were doing death
if
watch.
you need time for that, I mean, pretty much. I mean, we said what we going to say about the X-Men movie. You did your PSA.
I will call
I'm
her.
saving the comic book review for next week because I want Cliff in on the rant, and I will be doing some ranting. I am sick and tired of this type of stuff happening in books that I read.
I'm it, he hasn't cleared it out with you guys, but next week he will. Hey Leia, I'm sorry. She meowed at us and
Yeah, no,
I
she's been
ignored her.
here. She was here in the very beginning, and then you were still in the middle of the PSA, and that's when I think she left here.
But you know, he's got a whole rant for next week, and Cliff will be here to stand between us. I'm hoping
I
I
mean,
can get a pickle. I'm hoping.
if
At
this was
first, I
a
would think
title,
I'll
if
get
this
a
was a
pickle.
title that I was not as deeply invested in, I probably would have been okay. Because like, you know what? I don't know about this series. I really don't know what to expect. You know how much I have followed She-Hulk. Cliff knows. All comic book spectrum knows.
Yes.
So when I read stuff like this, I'm gonna go like, I know it's a new writer. I know that they're doing this for marketing purposes. And they up here, it's like, well, they don't care about us older readers anymore. I get that too. I get it. I was like, I give you a little bit slack on that, but if I'm bought into the whole series and you put out this, I want to tell you about it.
Which
Not
you
only
should.
as a reader, as a fellow creator, as an editor in chief of my own studio.
And
It's
you've heard
time to
me.
put something. It's time to put that out there in the ether. Put it out there on the interwebs. I'm not going to be as jaded as some of these so-called dude bros out there talking about I hate everything. There's going
And
to be some positive in this rant, and I'm
okay,
positively going to tell you what's what. That's the positivity I'm going to put out there. Do I
I will
actually
be.
hate it? No, I don't hate it. It's just to me, it's just like, why? Why was this greenlit? That's where I'm at right now after reading the last two issues. It's like, why was this greenlit?
I have a couple of series I'm going to be reviewing.
Okay.
Um, I am now making my. I just started making my way
Making it
through.
way.
Yeah, it's a Critical Role joke. I
Yeah.
just started. I got the first two episodes of Talamasca,
Uh-huh.
and if you're familiar with Anne Rice's books, the Talamasca is a group that they have formed to study the vampires. They don't necessarily interact with the vampires. They don't necessarily try to stop the vampires in anything. They basically, their initial job was to observe and record.
This is upcoming. I
Ooh,
actually
cool.
pulled that from last week's new comic book pickups here, just for you
Cool.
can see it. It's Absolute Catwoman #1.
Ooh,
So this is from
cool.
the Absolute universe here.
I
So
like the artwork.
I'm going to review that. That's coming soon.
And then,
I still have to finish. I still have to finish and review this because, to borrow what Cliff said, I'm reading this so you don't have to.
well, I'm watching Telemasca, so you won't have to. I will tell you though, if you have an interest, it is on Netflix. It is not part of the cinematic
Okay.
universe of Anne Rice books. It is part of the TV universe as set forth in their Interview with the Vampire, the series.
Okay.
So
That makes more.
because
Okay, that would help me in the
the
long
guy
run.
who plays the dude that wrote the book
Mhm.
in that series crosses over into this one. So this fits in the series universe, not the cinematic.
So that's going to be. And I'm still watching. I still have to go back and watch the next couple of episodes of X-Men, but I am watching Lanterns.
Okay. I
The
have
only thing I
not
can say as of right now is Hal Jordan is still a jackass.
I will not be watching Lanterns because I have to things being what they are, I have to cut back on a few things so
Yeah,
that we can
HBO
eat.
Max it's probably not going to be one of those things that you could afford. I get that,
So
but
we're
I
gonna
am
have
watching
to
it for you. Don't have to.
yeah, because I'm
Is it a bad series? Not really.
no,
Only
but
thing I can
you're
say
not the
is
only person I've heard who has done the Hal Jordan is a jackass
he is.
remark. So
He,
it's like
in this series, he is so much of a jackass. He's not the Hal Jordan that we would expect. I have to
he's
say it that way.
he's not the Hal Jordan I would have wanted. But then I was part of that group that was very vocal about the fact that um, Ryan Reynolds was not the right choice for Hal Jordan. And he wasn't. It just that was not the case. He was the right choice for Deadpool,
Hmm.
but he just did not have the energy for Hal Jordan. And the actor that we wanted, they didn't pick. And then they made him play a jackass Green Lantern in the Justice League movie. So I'm like, okay, y'all just don't know how to pay attention when the fans are saying this is who you should cast because he's voiced that character in so many of the animated films. So he's voiced the character. We're actually on board with him as Hal Jordan. you know. But then I think in regards to superhero movies, that kind of miscasting has happened before.
It happens way too often, but again, I preface this. I expected Hal to be cocky. I
Yes,
expected Hal to be arrogant. I did not expect Hal to be a straight up, truly jerkified jackass. Now,
I never.
so far, they're setting everything up as if there is something justifying the way that he's acting the way that he's acting. I don't like how they're telling the story by using John as a contrast.
Yeah,
John Stewart is being the real logical one at this point, as being the trainee.
but also John Stewart. Unless I've gotten it wrong, because my introduction to John Stewart was through the animated series.
Mm-hmm.
So his first flight was by the time John Stewart became a Lantern, Hal had already gone to the dark side according to the animated series. Hal had already gone over to the dark side.
No,
and
you have to read the
John
book.
Stewart then the ring comes to him, and he doesn't know anything about how to manage this ring. And he ends up
that's one of the reasons why this TV series feels a little bit wrong, but I accept it. Well, because in the books, John has a different ring than Hal.
Okay.
And that's the thing. In this TV series, the way that they making it seem is that John is being trained
to take over
Hal's ring if something happens to Hal.
Okay. In the animated, it was different because
They got to parallax where Hal became parallax, and they took his ring and gave it to John. And he
lost his ring, and the ring comes to John.
Mm-hmm.
John is like, he's just doing his thing, and the ring just like when he can't get it off, he's like, oh my goodness, and stuff starts happening, and he's trying to figure it out.
No, and John was bequeathed a ring by the Guardians, and he had his own ring.
In the animated film that introduces him,
they said that Hal's ring
comes to him, and it's driving him crazy. He asks the ring, can you take me somewhere where I can learn about what you are? And it takes him up to the watchtower. In the animated, it first takes him to the watchtower.
Oh, wow. They took him to the watchtower before Oa.
To the watchtower, and he connects with Martian Manhunter and the Green Arrow? And he and Green Arrow, Oa has been destroyed.
Oh, okay. I now know which Justice League you're talking about now.
To take him to, because Oa is gone. So the first place the ring takes him to is the watchtower, because these guys know who the Green Lantern is. But they didn't know about what had happened to Hal, and all they know is here's this dude, and he's got, he's Green Lantern. What did you do? And their first thing is, how did you get in here, and what did you do with it, Hal? So they have to work through that, because, you can't have a superhero unless the good guys whack the crap out of each other for about 5 minutes instead of actually talking. And they then take he and Green Arrow take a ship,
a javelin, over to where
they take the javelin, and then they find out all the stuff that's going on and have to deal with it. But I said, this
series will throw you for a loop. This series will throw you for a loop with that type of knowledge here.
And I was just sitting there like, oh my goodness, there's a Black Green Lantern, yay! And John introduced me to the animated Lanterns because he was trying to see Emerald Knights,
right?
Which I rented at the time. I rented Emerald Knights for him so that he could watch, because he was telling me about, there's this Green Lantern.
There's multiple Green Lanterns. There's a squirrel. There's a planet that is a Green Lantern,
and that's introduced in Emerald Knights. It ends with the planet coming, but
then everybody's favorite, Kilowog, the toughest trainer out of all of them. Kilowog.
Yes. And right now, yes, that's it. So he loves Kilowog, but and that's how I picked up on the Green Lantern, is because John had wanted to see Emerald Knights, and I watched Emerald Knights with him. And I watched that one, and it was fun to see, like, ooh, female Green Lanterns. Yeah, because when I was a girl, all the lanterns were men.
That's not necessarily true, but by the time they did come out with the Green Lantern Corps books, you didn't get to see them until then.
But it wasn't DEI came late to the Lantern Corps. If you were reading the books, it was Hal, it was Sinestro, and a lot of the
And
characters
Alan Scott. It was Alan Scott, Hal, and Sinestro mostly.
Yeah,
because Alan Scott really didn't deal too much with
I
stuff
didn't.
Hal did, but he knew of Sinestro for some reason.
The Green Lantern in the books, and the few books that I did read, were all Hal Jordan.
Jordan, right.
So, because that also, when they were doing the early versions of the animated, the Super Friends and stuff, that was the Green Arrow that
Justice League of America was always Hal Jordan.
Yeah, it was always Hal Jordan. So that was my Green Arrow. So to then see John Stewart as the Green Arrow, or to see Emerald Knights, was really neat, because it was like, oh my goodness, you have all these different Green Arrows. My John helped introduce me
to all the Green Lanterns, all
the Green Lanterns and stuff. And it was, and that was fun to be able to watch. There was the Emerald Knights, and then there was a couple of other ones that we watched together.
That would make the whole ordeal with Kyle Rayner so interesting to me.
We watched First Flight together, which is the first one where they introduced Hal.
How with Albin Sur, about how how the one thing I didn't like about the animated series, the animated version of that, is that they always augment what Albin Sur said to the ring.
Yeah.
And the outcome of what the ring said back to him.
But so we watched First Flight together. We watched Emerald Knights, and I was trying to think if there was, I think we watched 2 or 3 of those together. Which was fun. It was like something I could do with my kid.
Yeah, it's like watching kung fu movies on like a Saturday or Sunday.
Which I did when they were very little, and I would just turn the volume down and make up really dumbass dialogue, because
you didn't eat your dim sum. Now I must destroy you.
You stole my one-time noodles. I did not. Yes, you did. You stole my one-time noodles and snapped my mama. I'm okay with you slapping my mama, but I want my noodles back. So I was a very strange parent. I'm surprised that they didn't just bust down our door and take me away.
But those probably was fun moments, though. Better than what they was actually saying.
That's true. Some of those movies were pretty crappy. But anyway,
it's the 2-hour mark. Yep,
it's the 2-hour mark, and I need to call Sally back to find out if she wouldn't have called me if it wasn't important.
Yep.
But because I told her usually I'm not, Thursdays don't call because I'm not available until after 9. So I will call
after
her
9
back
now. So before you could go ahead and make your call.
Thank you, guys. For those who try to watch us live, and for those who will, watch us later, thank you for taking time to spend this little time. I feel like Kilburn, and I'm so glad we had this time together just to have us laugh or sing a little song. I'm not going to sing that. Don't worry. I will not kill your hearing. But anyway, I'm Elaine Haygood. You can find me here on YouTube on my own channel. And you can find me at my website, lenscaponline.com, lenscaponline.com. Because some people have pointed out that you don't say it clearly enough, so I know what you're saying. Though it does.
It's right there at the bottom of the screen here, people. Can you see this little thing that says lenscaponline.com up under her name?
It's been a day.
I'm sorry, my inner producer just takes over at times. It's just like, we give you it right there on the screen. It's like, next time we just got to make it larger, or if need be, I just make a banner scroll across the screen. It's like, find her at lenscap.com.
No, it's okay. But yeah, you can find me at Lenscap Online. You can find there's artwork. My first 2 short comics are there, as well as a link to where you can find the Enslaved on Amazon in both print and digital, as well as the Kindle edition of And the Coming of Nighttime Book 1, in case you're curious. And it's only $4.99 if you want to get it. I'm still trying to find a good printer and distributor, because it's a rough business. And they're not nice to women. But anyway, y'all have a good evening. I will see you next week. And please, for the sake of all that is just holy, do not dress up in some dumbass outfit and think you're going to go around and, scare women, because one of them women are going to take you out. Okay? Now, peace.
See, she doesn't realize I am that quick. I will do that type of stuff, because why? That annoys me when people are not paying attention and when it's right there on the screen here. But nevertheless, today's episode is brought to you by Plasmafire Graphics. If you need a cover for your novel, graphic novel, or comic book, give Jeffrey Hayes a call here. Why? Because you want an award-winning artist to do your cover, because it brings people to your table. It brings people to you to ask you more about your book or more about your stories. And if you don't believe me, maybe you will believe this video.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
And now, since you've seen that, should give you more incentives to give Jeffrey Hayes that call here, because he could do wonders for your story and for your comic if you give him the opportunity to. But as far as I'm concerned, I will be back here on Saturday. Don't know what we're going to talk about here, but I do have a couple of things to show you guys here. Also do some accountability. We may have a few more things for new comic book pickups for the week here, but you got to wait until Saturday, because you never know here. But until then, unlike our founder, Brian K. Morris, I don't care if you wash your hands, but never, and I do mean never, apologize for being awesome. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching the replay if you get a chance to watch the replay of this here. And we'll catch you right here next week for another episode of Comic Book Spectrum. Have a good evening. Bye.